Hello guys! We are now diving to general education, particularly the life and works of Rizal. Disclaimer: copyright infringement is not intended. I do not own some of the graphics and audios in these videos. They belong to the rightful owners. Let's now proceed. Question number 1. What is the primary purpose of Republic Act 1425, also known as the Rizal Law? A. To promote the study of history in the Philippines. B. To require the study of Rizal's life and works in school. C. To honor the memory of Jose Rizal's contributions. And letter D. To establish a new national holiday in honor of Rizal. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter B, for the rational. The main goal of Republic Act 1425 is to instill patriotism and nationalism in Filipinos by ensuring that they learn about Jose Rizal's contributions to the country's history and independence through his life and literary works. Number 2. Which of Jose Rizal's works are specifically mentioned in Republic Act 1425 as essential to the curriculum? A. La Solidaridad and el Filibusterismo. B. Noli Me Tangere and Mi Ultimo Adios. C. Noli Me Tangere and el Filibusterismo. D. Mi Ultimo Adios and La Liga Filipina. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! Of course, the answer is letter C, Noli Me Tangere and el Filibusterismo. For the rational. Republic Act 1425 specifically mentions Noli Me Tangere and el Filibusterismo, the two novels written by Jose Rizal that played a crucial role in inspiring the Filipino nationalist movement and highlighting the injustices of Spanish colonial rule. 3. What was one major social issue in 19th century Philippines that Rizal addressed in his works? A. The spread of Christianity in the Philippines. B. The exploitation and abuse by Spanish colonizers. C. The influence of Chinese merchants in trade. D. The development of Philippine agriculture. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter B, for the rational. Rizal's works, particularly Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, highlighted the exploitation and abuse suffered by Filipinos under Spanish colonial rule, addressing issues such as corruption, oppression, and injustice. Number 4. Which institution did Rizal criticize as a symbol of oppression in the 19th century Philippines? A. The local barangay leaders. B. The Catholic Church and friars. C. The indigenous tribal chiefs. D. The foreign trading companies. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter B, the Catholic Church and friars. For the rational, Rizal was critical of the Catholic Church and the friars, who held significant power and influence in the Philippines. His writings exposed the abuses and corruption within the church, making it a symbol of the broader oppression faced by Filipinos under Spanish rule. Number 5. Who played a significant role in Rizal's early education and development? A. His father, Francisco Mercado. B. His sister, Saturnina Rizal. C. His mother, Chedora Alonso. And letter D. His uncle, Jose Alberto. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter C, his mother, Chodora Alonso. For the rational, Chodora Alonso, Rizal's mother, was highly educated and played a crucial role in his early education, nurturing his love for learning and reading from a young age. Number 6. Where was Jose Rizal born and raised during his childhood? A. Manila, Philippines. B. Calamba, Laguna. C. Cebu, Philippines. D. Iloilo, Philippines. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter B, Calamba, Laguna. For the rational, Jose Rizal was born and raised in Calamba, Laguna, which provided the backdrop for many of his formative experiences and influenced his understanding of Philippine society. Number 7. What was one of the primary educational influences in Rizal's childhood? A. The local parish school. B. Homeschooling by his mother. C. The Ateneo Municipal de Manila. D. The University of Santo Tomas. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter B, homeschooling by his mother. For the rational, during his early years, Rizal was primarily educated at home by his mother, Chodora Alonso, who instilled in him the importance of education and a love for literature and the arts. Number 8. How did Rizal's education in Europe contribute to his reformist ideas? A. By exposing him to advanced scientific research. B. By allowing him to engage with revolutionary movements. C. By introducing him to democratic ideals and philosophies. D. By providing him with opportunities to learn new languages. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter C, by introducing him to democratic ideals and philosophies. For the rational, Rizal's education in Europe, especially in countries like Spain and Germany, exposed him to various political philosophies and democratic ideals, which shaped his reformist views and sparked his advocacy for social change in the Philippines. Number 9. What impact did Rizal's time at the Universidad Central de Madrid have on his activism? A. It helped him develop his skills in sculpture and painting. B. It enabled him to publish scientific research and papers. C. It provided him with a network of reform-minded individuals. D. It influenced him to become a strong military leader. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter C. It provided him with a network of reform-minded individuals. For the rational, while studying at the Universidad Central de Madrid, Rizal connected with other Filipino reformists and intellectuals, fostering a collaborative environment that supported his activism and the pursuit of reforms for the Philippines. Number 10. How can Rizal's multilingual abilities be seen as an asset in his reformist activities? A. By allowing him to translate his works into multiple languages. B. By helping him understand complex scientific terms. C. By enabling him to communicate with local Spanish leaders. D. By facilitating his medical studies and practice. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter A. by allowing him to translate his works into multiple languages. For the rational, Rizal's proficiency in multiple languages enabled him to translate his works and ideas into various languages, thereby reaching a broader audience and gaining international support for the Philippine reform movement. Number 11. What was the main reason for Rizal's exile to Dapitan in 1892? A. His involvement in revolutionary activities. B. His medical practice without a proper license. C. His criticism of Spanish authorities and friars. D. His participation in political debates in Europe. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter C, his criticism of Spanish authorities and friars. For the rational, Rizal was exiled to Dapitan primarily due to his writings and activities that criticized the Spanish authorities and friars, which were seen as a threat to the colonial regime. Number 12. During his trial, what was Rizal primarily accused of by the Spanish authorities? A. Conspiring with the British government. B. Leading an armed rebellion against Spain. C. Founding an illegal secret society. D. Inciting sedition through his writings. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter D, inciting sedition through his writings. For the rational, Rizal was accused of inciting sedition through his writings, particularly Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, which exposed the injustices of Spanish rule and inspired nationalist sentiments among Filipinos. Number 13. How did Rizal's martyrdom impact the Philippine nationalist movement? A. It led to immediate independence from Spain. B. It weakened the resolve of Filipino revolutionaries. C. It galvanized the nationalist movement and unity. D. It resulted in reforms from the Spanish government. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter C. It galvanized the nationalist movement and unity. For the rational, Rizal's execution on December 30, 1896 served as a catalyst for the Philippine nationalist movement, uniting Filipinos in their fight for independence and inspiring many to continue his legacy of advocating for freedom and justice. Number 14. What was Rizal's main purpose in annotating Antonio Morga's Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas? A. To provide a detailed biography of Antonio Morga. B. To introduce European ideas to Filipino readers. C. To criticize the literary style of Morga's work. D. To offer a Filipino perspective on historical events. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter D, to offer a Filipino perspective on historical events. For the rational, Rizal aimed to highlight the richness of pre-colonial Filipino culture and correct the biases and inaccuracies present in the Spanish colonial account, providing a more balanced historical perspective. Number 15. How did Rizal's annotations of Morga's work contribute to Philippine nationalism? A. By emphasizing the superiority of Spanish rule and culture. B. By promoting the idea of Filipino cultural heritage. C. By discouraging interest in pre-colonial history or Filipino history. D. By advocating for Spanish language and education. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter B, by promoting the idea of Filipino cultural heritage. For the rational, Rizal's annotations underscored the sophistication and achievements of pre-colonial Filipino society, fostering pride in Filipino cultural heritage and contributing to the growing sense of nationalism among Filipinos. Number 16. Which character in Noli Me Tangere represents the secular intellectuals advocating for reform in the Philippines during the Spanish colonial period? A. Padre Damaso. B. Crisostomo Ibarra. C. Lieutenant Guevara. D. Captain Tiago. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter B. For the rational, Crisostomo Ibarra is a central character in Noli Me Tangere who returns to the Philippines after studying in Europe. He symbolizes the educated Filipino reformists who aspire to bring enlightenment and change to the country through peaceful and legal means. Padre Damaso represents the oppressive clergy, Lieutenant Guevara the conflicted military, and Captain Tiago, the wealthy class complicit with the regime. Number 17. What is the primary reason for the tension between Crisostomo Ibarra and Padre Damaso? A. Ibarra's planned school. B. Land ownership issues. C. Religious differences. D. Romantic rivalry. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter A. The primary reason for the tension between Crisostomo Ibarra and Padre Damaso is Ibarra's planned school. Ibarra's progressive ideas and his desire to educate the Filipino youth threatened the power and influence of the Spanish clergy, represented by Padre Damaso, who sees education as a means of instilling dissent against colonial rule. 18. In the novel Noli Me Tangere, what does Cisa's tragic story symbolize in the context of the broader social issues of the time? A. Oppression of women. B. Exploitation of labor. C. Corruption in church. D. Plight of the poor. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter D. Cisa's tragic story symbolizes the plight of the poor under Spanish rule. Her character portrays the suffering and injustice faced by the lower class in the Philippines as she loses her sanity due to the mistreatment of her sons by the authorities and the extreme poverty they endure. Cisa's narrative highlights the social inequality and lack of justice for the common people. 19. Which character in El Filibusterismo represents the ideal of revolutionary change through education and reform? A. Simon. B. Basilio. C. Isagani. D. Father Florentino. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter C. For the rational, Isagani represents the ideal of revolutionary change through education and reform. Unlike Simon, who believes in violent revolution, Isagani holds onto the hope that peaceful reforms and education can bring about the necessary changes in society. Basilio, a medical student, is also inclined towards reform, but it is more pragmatic. Father Florentino provides moral guidance. 20. What is Simon's primary motivation for inciting a revolution in the Philippines? A. Personal revenge. B. Political power. C. Religious freedom. D. Economic gain. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter A. Simon's primary motivation for inciting a revolution in the Philippines is personal revenge. He is actually Crisostomo Ibarra in disguise, seeking to avenge the injustices done to him and his loved ones by the Spanish colonial authorities. His desire for revenge drives him to manipulate others and incite a violent uprising. Number 21. What does the failed revolution in El Filibusterismo symbolize about Rizal's views on social change? A. The need for education. B. The power of unity. C. The futility of violence. D. The strength of faith. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! You have 10 seconds to answer. For the rational, the failed revolution in El Filibusterismo symbolizes Rizal's views on the futility of violence. Time's up! Through the novel, Rizal critiques the idea that social change can be effectively achieved through violent means. The failure of Simon's plot suggests that true reform must come through the more peaceful and constructive methods such as education and moral integrity. 22. In the Philippines, a century hence, what does Rizal predict will be the primary outcome if Spain continues to oppress the Filipino people? A. A peaceful coexistence. B. A violent revolution. C. Increased prosperity. D. Mass immigration. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter B. For the rational, Rizal predicts that continued oppression by Spain will lead to a violent revolution. He argues that the Filipino people's suffering and desire for freedom will eventually culminate in an uprising if their grievances are not addressed, highlighting the inevitable consequence of prolonged tyranny. 23. According to Rizal, in the Philippines a century hence, which factor is crucial for the Philippines to achieve progress and prosperity? A. Economic independence. B. Cultural assimilation. C. Military strength. D. Religious unity. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter A. For the rational, Rizal believes that economic independence is crucial for the Philippines to achieve progress and prosperity. He emphasizes the importance of developing local industries and reducing reliance on foreign powers, arguing that economic self-sufficiency will enable the country to thrive. Number 24. In the Philippines a century hence, what does Rizal suggest is the most effective way for Spain to maintain its control over the Philippines? A. Military force. B. Cultural integration. C. Political reforms. D. Religious conversion. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter C. For the rational, Rizal suggests that political reforms are the most effective way for Spain to maintain its control over the Philippines. He advocates for granting more rights and freedoms to the Filipino people, arguing that genuine reforms will foster loyalty and reduce the likelihood of rebellion, unlike reliance on military force or other methods. 25. How did Jose Rizal's concept of kabayanihan differ from traditional views of heroism in the Philippines? A. Military prowess. B. Peaceful reform. C. Economic strength. D. Religious devotion. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter B, peaceful reform. For the rational, Rizal's concept of kabayanihan focus on peaceful reform and education rather than traditional military prowess. He believed that true heroism lay in enlightening the masses, advocating for peaceful reforms and improving society through knowledge and moral integrity. 26. Which of the following actions best exemplifies Rizal's idea of bayani in the context of Philippine nationalism? A. Leading revolts. B. Engaging in trade. C. Writing novels. D. Establishing missions. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter C, writing novels. Writing novels to inspire social change best exemplifies Rizal's idea of bayani. Through his literary works like Lori Metangere and El Filibusterismo, Rizal sought to awaken national consciousness and inspire his fellow Filipinos to strive for social and political reforms. 27. What was Jose Rizal's primary method for advocating Philippine nationalism and kabayanihan? A. Military campaigns. B. Political alliances. C. Cultural writing. D. Economic investments. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter C, cultural writings. Jose Rizal's primary method for advocating Philippine nationalism and kabayanihan was through intellectual and cultural contributions. He used his writings, such as essays, novels, and articles, to critique colonial rule, promote Filipino identity, and encourage peaceful reform, believing that enlightenment was the path to true independence and national dignity. Number 28. Why is Jose Rizal considered a national hero in the Philippines? A. His military leadership. B. His literary works. C. His economic reforms. D. His religious contributions. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter B. For the rational, Jose Rizal is considered a national hero in the Philippines primarily because of his literary works. His novels, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, exposed the injustices of Spanish colonial rule and inspired Filipinos to pursue independence and reform through peaceful and intellectual means. Number 29. What aspect of Rizal's life best illustrates his role as a national symbol for peaceful reform? A. His exile to the Pitan. B. His work as a doctor. C. His participation in trade. D. His military campaigns. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter A. For the rational, Rizal's exile to the Pitan best illustrate his role as a national symbol for peaceful reform. During his exile, he continued to contribute to society through community projects, education, and medical practice, embodying his belief in reform and progress through nonviolent means. Number 30. Which action by Jose Rizal most significantly contributed to his status as a national hero and symbol of nationalism? A. Founding La Liga Filipina. B. Starting a business. C. Leading a revolt. D. Building churches. You have 10 seconds to answer. Time's up! The answer is letter A. For the rational, founding La Liga Filipina most significantly contributed to Rizal's status as a national hero and symbol of nationalism. La Liga Filipina aimed to unite Filipinos for peaceful reforms and mutual aid, reflecting Rizal's vision for a progressive and independent Philippines achieved through unity and civic action. Congratulations for a job well done. I hope you learned a lot in this course. Class, do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and share to your friends. God bless!